Everybody, it's Ethan. Um, I have not made a video in a little while, so I kind of wanted to get on and make a video. I did not specifically make my 6-month update, which I thought I was going to be excited about, and I think I was. I kind of made a short video, but I haven't. Things have been a little up and down lately, so I didn't actually follow through putting that up, and I think I might just skip this month and maybe make one next month that might be better. But I wanted to come on and just talk about something that there's been a few things that I've been struggling with a little bit lately, but this is one of them that I think doesn't get a whole lot of talk in the trans community, and yeah, I think just maybe it would be important to share some of what I've experienced and what I'm trying to work through on here, and maybe get some feedback. So I feel like there's a lot of shame and just a lot of not a lack of wanting to share on topics of sex and sexuality. And when I say sexuality, I don't mean whether I'm gay, straight, bi, whatever. I mean more just my own sexual feelings, I guess, or something to that effect. This isn't a really easy topic for me to talk about, and I understand why people have a hard time talking about it, especially in the trans community, where we have a lot of body issues which play heavily into our experience of sex and our sexuality. So that's been something, and I felt in the beginning, my partner and I haven't had a whole lot of problems, and I started dating my partner about a month after I started hormones, and having sex, with only having the experience of not having had the experience with her before starting hormones, against what I have now started having hormones. Hopefully that made sense. That was awful. Basically, I didn't have sex with her before I started hormones, so my only information or my only feelings are coming out of the place of actually having hormones. And that's there's a few things in that, having sex with a higher sex drive now is very different than what I experienced under an estrogen-based system of just very low sex drive. And I think the biggest thing that I've seen for myself, at least, is just the experience of urgency that I've never had before, an intensity, a desire for real intense sex, I guess. I don't and it doesn't really occur that way for us, but just I think it's been very deep and meaningful sex, but it's not. I actually don't know what I'm looking for, I guess, but so in the beginning of our sexual encounters, experience, whatever, when we first started having sex, I didn't have a huge issue. I had not had top surgery before that, so there was the issue of me not wanting to expose my chest, and fortunately I had top surgery about 2 months into our relationship, so I wasn't having sex very long before I had top surgery, and the experience got much better after the top surgery, and feeling I was more comfortable with my body at that point. I didn't have a lot of lower dysphoria to begin with, but that is something recently that is starting to come up. Just feeling some shifting and changing on a thing that I felt I was a lot more okay with, not having a penis. But it turns out I'm not as okay with that, and really needing to explore that aspect is interesting for me. and especially with a partner that does not necessarily want, not that like I'm totally against it, but just that having sex with a penis involved is not exactly what she's interested in, and that's fine. And I'm like, we are working around it and we're experimenting with what we can, but it's also hard for me from the aspect of like I would want to explore it a little bit more, and I think we're working up to it, but it is a slow workup, and also that and like part of it's me too. Like I don't really, I've used a strap-on before and I don't like it, and I don't particularly care for the idea of having to use something else like a toy in place of a body part that I feel like I should have. And my hope is that, you know, with the hormones and, you know, growth, clitoral growth, like I'll be able to use my own anatomy at some point. I mean, maybe not to the extent that like a normal male would be able to, but there are ways of being able to use what you have, and you know, I've done some research around that, and I think that's something that's frustrating. Is just like the lack of discussion or research on being comfortable with the bodies we have and using what we have, or finding ways to use what we have. Like I feel like I have to do scavenger hunts for information. So yeah, so that's tough. And then something else that has happened more as I've been wanting to explore the concept of having a actual penis is that sometimes it feels like maybe I might be there's a fine line between feeling like attracted to the penis or actually attracted to the idea that it would be on me, if that makes any sense. Basically leaning towards the inclination that maybe there are some tendencies towards like a homosexual sex experience, like an experience, sexual experience with a man. And not that I really want to. Like when I actually think about it, I can't fathom it. But there is something about a penis that does kind of turn me on. I think mostly because I want one, but maybe not fully. I mean, I can actually masturbate to the idea of a penis, which is weird. I can't believe I even said that on here, but yeah, there's some interesting. Anyway, yeah, so that's a tough thing, and I think it also, like that kind of notion, especially coming from my perspective of considering myself to be at least attracted to women and wanting relationships and sexual experiences with women, like how that fits into my my experience of my sexuality, and even considering the idea of sex with a man, that can be hard, and it also it hasn't. I don't feel like it's fully expressed itself in feeling ashamed, but there might be some of that playing into my idea. Like I can't have these feelings of maybe wanting to have sex with a guy someday. Like anyway, a lot of stuff, but it's just sex and sexuality and like just kind of some experimentation with that is not something that I feel like is really talked about that much. I've seen a few YouTube videos about it, but it's a topic that I think kind of gets left out, and something that I would be even more interested in is just like I've experienced a lot of curiosity for myself, and like what is going to happen to my body on hormones, and like what is happening as I'm watching it happening, but also not knowing like how to work with some of the, or how to deal with some of the increased feelings of well, increased sex drive and just the desire for like this intensity or urgency in my experience of the sex drive. Yeah, I think it's just tricky to figure out how to deal with that, and yeah, I don't know. That's tough. I'm not really phrasing that question the way I wanted to, but essentially, like I would love to have discussions with people about like their experience with increased sex drive, and also like if they've had any of these changes in urgency, and just like sometimes I feel like I'm not going to be satisfied, and maybe that's also because I just still have some lower dysphoria, and I'm just realizing it. So I don't know. Anyway, this video is getting a little bit longer than I wanted it to be, and anyway, I just wanted to throw it out there. And I know it's not an easy conversation to have, but I'd be interested to hear other people's thoughts on it. Anyway, yeah, that's just one thing I've been thinking about lately. Anyway, yeah, that's about it for now. Maybe I'll make another topic type video in the future. I'm also working on my thoughts of like masculinity and femininity, and how they can still hold a place in one person, and how that cannot be threatening to my image as a man, like feeling masculine, but also being okay with like the parts of me that are feminine and will remain like feminine to some extent, and also being okay in that respect with my past history as a woman. Yeah, that's a tough topic, so I could save that. I will save that for another video. But yeah, just a lot of things I'm processing lately, and it's good work, but it's definitely tough, especially when you feel like you're doing it alone. So just wanted to share my thoughts. Anyway, hope everybody's doing well. Take care.